Hello, listeners! Welcome to episode 25 of the Avocado Gamescast, the Avocado's gaming podcast. I'm Merve, and today we're going to run down the summer's biggest and most interesting gaming news. But before we get to that, let's meet the folks who are joining me today. First up, he's relaxing on his new queen-size Casper mattress. It's the Radio Cat.
Hi!
Next, he gets an unbelievably smooth shave with the Executive Blade from Dollar Shave Club. It's Science is Bad.
Oh, hey, I've never been as smoothly shaved as I am now.
Glad to hear it. Next, he discovered a better way to cook with a meal plan from Blue Apron. Say hello to Doctuar.
Hello, greetings from the UK.
And finally, he just can't get comfortable without the sustainably sourced micromodal fabric of MeUndies. It's the Kappa.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So, how are you guys all doing?
Good.
Now that I'm so smoothly shaven, I feel great.
Can't be bad in MeUndies.
Once again, folks, Dollar Shave Club is excellent.
Yeah, I really hope we don't get sued for this one.
Sued? If anything, we
What
got
are you talking
free razors.
about?
Free
Yeah.
razors, right?
There'll be freebies coming through the mail, as soon as this goes out.
Yeah, that's
Great.
what I'm hoping for. We didn't get...
I need a lot of razors, you guys.
Yeah, I'm also a pretty hairy man, so I could do with
Yeah,
some
let's
free
talk
razors.
about that.
So, let's talk about all my body hair. But yeah, Dollar Shave Club. If you guys want to send me free razors, I'll accept them. I'll gladly accept them. So, as we often do on the podcast, we begin by discussing our favorite gaming character in the universe. That gaming character is Sonic the Hedgehog. We love him very, very much. And so, because we love him so much, Banner Thief actually came up with this segment called Project Sonic Watch 2017. And it's become a staple of this podcast. So, let's get right to it. Sonic Mania came out. And apparently it's actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that happen?
It's good for the fans. I never liked Sonic and never will. I don't think even the first Sonic is very good.
Is it
I don't think the very concept of Sonic is like you either run very fast, but then there are obstacles in your way, and you kind of like have to hit a dead stop. You have to like figure out where you have to go, and it's like really messy. I don't like Sonic, but hey, good for the fans to finally have a game that they can like actually play and have fun with. That's good.
Yeah, it's something they can actually enjoy unironically or not say.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Sonic Adventure 2, people say, yeah, the Knuckles levels are tedious and nobody likes the Tails levels, but the Sonic levels are great. So it's good for them to actually have a game where they're like, yeah, this is all very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that helped was the price point, right? I mean, it wasn't a $60 release type game, and it seems like that was kind of a smart move because what you get doesn't seem like it's going to blow any minds, but I do think it's a return to form in some ways for it.
Completely. I picked it up for the. Oh, sorry. No, it was because of the price point that I was like, I'll give it a shot. Picked it up for the Switch, and it's great for the mobile handheld aspect.
Sure. Although it's I've heard good things about some of the past Sonic games, but I'm not quite sure if this the whole retro aspect is what really pushed it over the edge, because I've heard good things about Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors, but something about this, and I think it's the nostalgia effect that's really like pushed it from the good to great, I think, because really most of Sonic is about nostalgia, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are recognizing that too. It's cool to try to set new course records or collect the most rings or do stuff like that, but this isn't the kind of game that people are going to be playing 10 years from now or anything like that. It's a trip back in time for a lot of people.
I think with myself, I never really had any Sega consoles, so Sonic isn't something I look fondly back on. But seeing how well it was reviewed, and it made me think, perhaps this is something I should go back to, check it out. Especially now I've got a Switch as well. Like you were saying, It does seem like a good game for a mobile format.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's something you can take on the go, especially if the levels are pretty short. And you play a couple of levels on a bus ride or something. I don't know if it would work if a Sonic game, like with the larger sort of levels, like the Sonic Adventure games, would work on a mobile platform like that.
Yeah, I don't know if Sonic Adventure would ever work on anything ever.
That is very true.
Now hang on, you could use the Chow Garden.
Oh God!
The Chow Garden's it's basically like the Digimon farm from like the Digimon Cyber Sleuth games.
I haven't played those, so I'm not quite sure what we're talking about. But yeah, are those games, those Cyber Sleuth games, are any good?
I think so. I played. Okay. God, I'm forgetting the exact title. Digimon Story. It's the Digimon Story series, not the Digimon Cyber Sleuth series. Cyber Sleuth is the subtitle for the last one that came out. I liked it a lot. It came out last year. I thought in North America, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, I describe it as sort of. This might be overselling it slightly. I describe it sort of like Persona with Digimon.
Mm-hmm.
Although the story is a little bit less thematically rich, or significantly less thematically rich, and it takes a really long time to get going. Like 20 hours in is when shit hits the fan.
Oh, that sounds like a Japanese game.
That does sound like Persona. Yeah, I was gonna say.
It really takes a while to get going, but I thought they did a really good job with it. So.
Cool.
If you're a Digimon fan and you want to raise Digimon in Digimon Farm, or you really, really love the Chow Garden aspect of Sonic Adventure, then go play Digimon Story. And you can, instead of raising Chows to race each other, I think, I don't really know how that game works, you can raise Digimon to fight each other, and it's a lot more fun.
Sold.
All right. I've sold somebody in Digimon Story today. Mission accomplished. So just getting back to Sonic really briefly, do you guys think that this means anything for Sonic Forces at all? Do you think people will compare Sonic Forces sort of unfavorably to this? Or do you think this is a good sign for what Sonic Forces will be? Or do you think Sonic Forces is a train wreck in the making?
I have no idea with Sonic anymore. You could just flip a coin at this point if you ask me.
Yeah.
The game would be amazing or horrible, one of the two.
I think that the fans' hopes were raised, and now they will be crushed, and everything will be okay again with Sonic.
The internet is going to be so bad about that game. I'm telling you right now. The internet is just going to flip its shit when that game is like, it's not even, I don't think it's even going to be a bad game. I think it's just going to be like an okay game, and it's going to make the internet super angry.
It's just not. It's not going to be Sonic Mania, and that will be like the main the thread in the comments, won't it? People going, "Oh well, we tried this, it didn't work." I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like they can learn the wrong lessons from this one too, and just kind of stick too much to the retro stuff and not do enough, to keep the series moving forward. Which is why Sonic kind of fell apart the first time, if you remember, back in the late '90s when it was like, okay, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So they're gonna have to figure out that weird balance of keeping it true to the classic experience, but also putting new stuff into it to make it interesting.
I will say that in Sonic Mania they have added a lot of really neat new features that I think are only possible with more modern gaming, or they mix it up enough where I'm like, oh, this is also a nostalgia bomb, but it also brings in enough new stuff that it's worth checking out if you have any sort of nostalgia for the old Sonic games.
Yeah, and I can bet anything that Sonic Mania 2 will definitely happen.
Oh, 100%.
If it isn't already.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's in development somewhere, or maybe in the super early stages. They're probably planning it out. It's interesting though that they hired a couple of fans to work on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people who are Sonic fan game makers.
Taxman, Christian Whitehead. His name
really?
Is. And he went by the handle Taxman. There was someone else involved as well, but he's the one that is popped up in all the news articles about it.
Yeah, and the UK's so small, I'm pretty sure you just like walk over to his place right now if you want it.
Hey, Taxman, what's up?
Yeah.
No, he's working on the new Sonic game.
He's waving at me through the window, to be honest.
Yeah, you guys all just live in one big flat building.
It's completely true.
So that's I think that's sort of interesting that now they're hiring fans to work on these sorts of things, because typically you think the conventional wisdom is don't trust fans too much, because give fans what they need, not what they say they want. But it seems like this person has some genuine talent. So
I think Sega doesn't know what it wants or what it needs or anything, and it's like I bet that someone said like, oh god, we don't even know what to do anymore. Let's hire anyone to like figure this out, because we were like, they were in the corner and they didn't know what to do. It seems like that with the Sonic series. That's like they tried everything, it seemed like, and so
that was the phrase "clutching at straws" sprung to mind when I read that they'd hired a fan to do it. I genuinely think that they thought, we'll just try it now. We can't possibly get any worse.
Yeah, and it ended up working out for them. So maybe they'll do it again. Who knows? And maybe this will start a trend with maybe other beleaguered franchises, or even not beleaguered franchises, starting to hire more people from the fan community to work on.
Oh god, no, please, no.
I mean, it's probably going to mean a lot more furry stuff and like weird eroge works its way into.
Imagine Leon Kennedy, but as a cat.
Okay. All right, I'm listening.
Resident Evil 2 HD now in stores.
My word.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more pansexual cats in video games. But yeah, we'll just roll with it. It's going to be fun.
Sure.
So moving on, I think mainly what we wanted to do in this podcast today is discuss gaming news, which we don't do all that much on this podcast, but there was a lot of gaming news this summer, and we haven't really been talking about gaming news enough. So I thought what we'd do today is run down a lot of the gaming news that has happened this summer and discuss what's sort of happened in the gaming sphere since E3. Amongst one of the biggest news stories that has come out in recent weeks is the YouTube Adpocalypse is back.
Mm-hmm.
And how?
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't in the know, over the past year or so, YouTubers have noticed their videos getting demonetized because they contain objectionable content, objectionable as determined by YouTube's advertisers. A lot of advertisers have been pulling out of YouTube because their videos were appearing on things like, neo-Nazi videos and other hate speech kind of videos. Brands don't like being associated with Nazis, which is probably a good thing.
Well, now
someone
I have
at Google slapped their forehead when they found this out, did they?
Yeah. Man, I have to change some things about my company then. God damn it.
Yeah, so so a lot of companies started pulling out. So in order to reel them back in, YouTube started demonetizing videos that had quote-unquote objectionable content, but they cast an extremely wide net. So a lot of videos, even videos that discussed violence or videos that discussed controversial topics in the news, regardless of what stance they took on the issue, were getting demonetized. Later, YouTube solved this with more intelligent filters, and they announced a couple of months back, that they sort of solved this adpocalypse problem, and a lot of non-gaming YouTubers especially noticed, okay, a lot of my videos now that would have otherwise been demonetized have been remonetized. But gaming has been hit extremely hard now in the past few weeks. Pretty much videos from almost any violent video game, like Destiny videos are getting demonetized now, which is ridiculous. People have done some experiments, and apparently even mentioning like the word gun in a video, even if it's just like you've marketed like the frame as a picture of a gun, and like the title has the word gun in it, and it looks like a gaming video about a gun, but the video is just like two people talking about cats. That's getting flagged and demonetized.
Oh, so all of internet videos.
Well, that example you mentioned there, Merve, I can't remember the name of the person who did the video, but they said, didn't they, it was the thumbnail was them and their wife, and they just said Destiny 2 once in the video, and that was it. It was demonetized.
I think that might have been Total Biscuit.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but
maybe people don't want to be, associating themselves with that guy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's... I don't think it's, like, Total Biscuit per se getting demonetized. I think it's just, like, the topic. But, yeah, it's strange because you think YouTube, especially over the past year or so, they've made big strides to try to reel gamers away from Twitch, making streaming possible through YouTube. They've got YouTube Gaming now, and it's weird now that they're almost reversing course on that and sort of hurting a lot of the lifeblood of their site.
I bet the people at YouTube really do want to like figure this out, but they're like fucking up, and that's par for the course. This thing, it was always kind of a mess, monetization on YouTube, and like people that are streaming Nintendo stuff are not getting anything from that, basically, because Nintendo is taking basically all of that money. So it's still, people are still trying to figure it out, and it'll take quite some time to actually get to a place that everybody's happy with. Right now, we will go through some really crazy shit like this to like arrive at that place, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of inevitable something like this was going to happen at this point.
And I think you guys are right, though. I think it's just going to push people away from YouTube. I mean, Microsoft's doing something now with streaming. Sony's doing something with streaming. I mean, you're just going to slowly push people out of the YouTube as a lifestyle, job. And I think you're just going to push them towards all these other services where people are just... I mean, Twitch streamers, they don't seem to have as many rules apply to them, I'll tell you that, just judging by the 4 or 5 Twitches I've watched. So
yeah. And they have a really interesting system where you have to like subscribe to a channel and like pledge some money for videos. Like it's a very interesting system, and I think it works for the benefit of the streamer. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say on Twitch, because I've got a friend who Twitch streams as well. It's a lot easier to interact with other people. Like when he's not streaming on his channel, people will like mirror their videos on his, and vice versa. Twitch seems to be, I don't know, more versatile, whereas YouTube is just a video you've recorded once and then it's up, isn't it? And if it doesn't succeed, then good luck.
Twitch has also started experimenting with video uploads, so now it's taking some of YouTube's functionality as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys watched any of the Mixer stuff on Microsoft when they did their whole reveal on E3, but they've got some interesting stuff in there where you can do things in the chat to do things in the game. Like they were showing Minecraft, for example, and they were spawning, TNT in the streamer's world due to doing things through the chat. So I mean, there's some cool stuff in that space that's, I think, going to push YouTube out if they keep taking away the money, because that's the only reason people are on YouTube is for the money, right?
Well, it's the most popular platform for videos in the world, so I think it's still not going to like disappear. And I think like the amount of user base that is on YouTube that just crushes Twitch, I think, like 10 times over, I bet.
Well, remember MySpace? I mean, people can migrate to,
But I, sorry to cut you off, but I really do think that it's like a minority of people, like people that are gaining money from gaming videos are like not the majority of people that are uploading things to YouTube.
Yeah, but I think what YouTube's failing to miss right now is that these people are celebrities. That, it's not so much that Total Biscuit streams Destiny. It's people would watch Total Biscuit stream, him staring at a wall for 2 hours right now. They're legitimate, in these world celebrities. Yeah, I mean, I'm just using him as an example, but
yeah. I get what you're saying. I saw some weird YouTube videos that were just like a person talking to a camera nonstop about dumb stuff, and like a bunch of people were watching that. But you know, I don't know how many of those videos are getting demonetized. Like you said, it's a weird thing that's happening right now, and I think that's mostly a bug that they want to like figure out. But I don't know. We'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah. So related to that, in terms of YouTube as a platform, one advantage it has with its size is that discoverability is a thing. So, you know, when you watch a video, you see all the related videos at the side. So you might watch a video about, I don't know, World War II, and then you might see on the side recommended that you watch a video about Call of Duty. So discoverability is a big factor for a lot of YouTubers. That's how people stumble across their videos. And what's happening to a lot of these demonetized videos, although nobody can prove this for sure, but it seems like some of these so-called violent or objectionable videos are getting removed from discoverability queues. So now, on top of losing ad revenue, fewer and fewer YouTube users are discovering these gaming YouTubers' channels. And that's also going to be a big problem. And I think it's going to push a lot of gaming personalities out of YouTube. Some of them, they're going to keep uploading to YouTube, and they're going to use platforms like Patreon to continue to support their livelihood. Yeah. But for others, you know, they'll just move to Twitch full-time or some other platform.
Patreon is actually a very interesting platform. Like, I saw a bunch of projects that were like, oh, we upload, like Daniel Dwyer with his like gaming documentaries. You know, he's uploading stuff to YouTube, but you can go to his Patreon and like support him. So I think a bunch of people like, you know, earn money like that and still get to place video on a service that's like with such a big user base, and it's working out for them, I think.
Jim Sterling, God bless him. I know he made a big song and dance about moving to Patreon, and apparently he's doing okay from it. But he used to work for The Escapist, didn't he? And Giant Bomb. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be, if you're successful enough, valid.
Yeah, you definitely have to have like a fan base that will support you.
Yeah, I remember probably this was one of the very early examples. You guys remember when Penny Arcade had a Kickstarter just to remove ads from their site?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's revenue streams out there that are past, you know, just relying on YouTube monetization. I think if you're one of these guys and you have a big enough audience, what it hurts is the people who are just trying to get their starts. But I mean, if you ask me my opinion, I say there's more than enough of these people already. We don't need another 50 people streaming, you know, Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever. I think we're pretty good right now in terms of YouTube people.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is definitely
I mean,
like
that's
a good example.
It's like stream bait at this point.
It's
exactly for people to stream to scream.
Yeah.
But yeah, like smaller YouTubers or YouTubers who play sort of more obscure titles, if they can't get exposure, that's, you know, they can't really build a career out of this. And you might tell them, well, go build another career, but I don't think that's necessarily the most fair solution. So we'll see what shakes out of this. Hopefully YouTube will get it together. One thing that people would have proposed is that creators sort of put voluntary content filters on their videos. Kind of like, say, a lot of fan fiction sites have like maturity ratings.
Oh boy.
Or television has, you know, the different classifications by age. They do something similar. Like if, you know, this video has a lot of cursing on it, it becomes PG. If this video has a lot of violence on it, it becomes, you know, for mature audiences.
Yeah.
And then that way advertisers can.
N.
Pardon me?
If it has Nazis in it, it has a big N, and that's plastic.
Yeah, like nobody needs to advertise on the N-rated videos. That's for sure.
I hope not.
That way, advertisers can select.
Hugo Boss.
Yeah, Hugo Boss. I own a piece of Hugo Boss clothing, and I feel a little guilty about that. Anyway, as I was saying, that way advertisers could filter to saying they only want to advertise to kid-friendly channels, then they could. And say they only want to advertise to everybody. They could target, the mature audiences if they wanted to. These content labels will be voluntary, but if there's enough flagging and YouTube staff find that people are abusing the labels or mislabeling things, then a channel might get its videos demonetized. I think that might be a better system, but then problem is you might need some really specific content filters, like as Science alluded to, you might need a Nazi filter to filter out the Nazi content. There's all kinds of other hate speech, and nobody's going to voluntarily label their, their genetic superiority video as hate speech.
And I really do think it's a really granular process that I don't know if it can be like a automatic thing. Like somebody would have to look through these videos and label them, because an automatic system that just says, oh, I heard a gun word in this video, well, this is a R-rated video now. It's ridiculous.
I think that's the rub, isn't it? Like Destiny 2 is, it's science fiction. It's like Star Trek, would be flagged for the same reason. It doesn't really make sense when you look at it from the human point of view.
Is the word phaser?
Yeah, I was going to say you have a video about Tim Gunn. Do you flag that?
Flag!
Yeah. So they've really got to work on how they filter out this content. And I understand the drive to develop automated tools, but it's really not working right now. And even Valve realized this with Steam and Steam Greenlight and all sorts of other features they tried to implement, and now they're moving away from automation. They announced the end of Steam Greenlight, and now
Greenlight was a fun a car crash, wasn't it? Goddamn, was that thing really fucked?
Yeah, there's some really shitty games that got put up there. I mean, obviously got downloaded to hell,
and definitely some games that should have been on Steam. We're stuck in this weird greenlight hell for a year. I've seen games that I knew about, that I legitimately knew that were good indie games that were deserved to be on Steam, and they were in limbo, while other games that were just cheap Android ports were ported to Steam, and I had no idea how that worked. It was weird, crappy magic. And I think maybe some of that was bots, voting on things. I don't know, because I can't even imagine how a process like that could be so, used for
so stupid.
Yeah, that's so stupid. Just idiotic. I don't know. It seemed broken. That's what it seemed like.
Oh, it was absolutely, utterly broken as a system, and I'm glad they got rid of it. Because they really didn't know how to manage the deluge of games.
Yeah.
So now I think they're going to have actual people looking at it.
And there's still a deluge of crappy games right now on Steam in new releases every day.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to get taken off Steam unless they have a meltdown like the people at Digital Homicide did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it is harming Valve's brand. I mean, I know they're obviously richer than any of us will ever be, I hope, but it's harming their brand a little bit, because one of my friends is constantly saying he wants to find a good game on Steam, and he has to wade through all this crap. And he said he's going to places like GOG now and alternatives, because it's just not the quality control has just dipped so much.
And the quality control on GOG is actually better. It's mostly just good indie games and old games and big AAA games sometimes, and none of that Android crap. That I have no idea why would you allow all of that stuff to be on Steam. I see no benefit to it. It's just
frustrating. I mean, I remember I used to be able to browse like specials. Like I would go to specials and just go through all the sales on Steam, you know, where they would have and it's just like, it's just pages and pages of stuff that I don't know if anybody ever even really played, you know, like it's just so weird. And then I know Steam's got to have some kind of algorithm because it does have that relevance, you know, like, is this relevant to me? But I mean, even with that on, I'm still seeing games like if I click on specials right now, after like the first page, I'm starting to get like Assetto Corso DLC. You know, like I don't own the game. Why would I want the DLC?
Maybe you're interested in Assetto Corso DLC. No, I'm not. Thank you.
Yeah, and on the other side, sometimes when I'm about to buy a game, it tells me this doesn't look like any games you've played.
Yeah,
like it's trying to recommend against me buying, like, say,
Steam.
Yeah, it's like I think I wanted to buy Tacoma or something like that, and it's just like, you haven't played a game like this. I'm like, Gone Home's in my fucking library.
Yeah, it's weird, and I think part of that is like the categorization system by people, and they try to wade through some stuff with the curator system, and like there's a lot of stuff that I don't think works very well, and it could be improved, but I don't like Steam has a crappy interface to begin with, and I don't think they want to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like we said, it's hard to discover things with Steam. The user tags have actually been one of the few, I think, user-led initiatives that actually have been okay. Like every time I look at the tags for a game that's been out for a while, they actually are fairly accurate.
Yeah. I wish there was a category broken ass horror game, and I was like, okay, filter all of that shit out.
And to your point about like the lack of quality control, sometimes like for example, I'm somebody who actually does enjoy visual novels from time to time, so occasionally I'll play them. But there's such a flood of garbage visual novels on Steam that if I'm browsing through, say, visual novels, I can't find what I want. And that's the problem, right? Like if there's a genre that you like, now instead of, you know, mostly good stuff or decent stuff, there's just all this janky garbage that pollutes that particular tag or that particular category. So discoverability, like we're talking about with YouTube, becomes a huge problem. You can't discover new titles that you otherwise wouldn't have heard of. And the only way I discover new games now is through announcements on gaming news sites or sometimes just browsing Twitter. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't, learn about new games. We're also talking about... Sorry, go ahead.
YouTube, I think, is a good way to discover things, but once you've already kind of hit that discover mode, I mean, I think that's when you can break out to things like Twitch or whatever. So, I don't know. YouTube still has a role in all of it, but I would imagine if I was already established, I'd be out of there. Twitch seems to be the way to go.
Overall, I think the problem is that there's just too much hashtag content. Like I cannot wade through all of that shit. Like it's just. You type in one thing into YouTube and it's that slew of videos that have like 300 views, and you just like, it's impossible to find any, like you have all the information available to you, and yet like wading through that is like daunting. So yeah,
it's really a challenge. The other thing I was going to mention, we were talking about Valve. Valve actually announced a new game.
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
wait,
my
what?
God.
I didn't hear about this.
Wait, you didn't hear about this? Valve announced a new game.
Yeah.
Guess what kind of game it is?
Oh, I know.
Is it like Dota?
Oh, wait.
Let him guess. Let him guess.
Is it the card game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then I did hear about this.
Quote,
It's a card
game.
Yeah, it's called Artifact, and it's set in the Dota universe because apparently Dota has lore.
God damn it.
I think, isn't the Dota universe just the Warcraft universe?
Yeah, it is. It's basically reimagined Warcraft, and they gave it all. I don't know if anybody played it back when it was just a mod, but yeah, they kind of did some stuff. But you were still playing as a Lightning Revenant, or you're still playing as a Murgle or whatever. I can't believe they're trying to give this game some kind of lore. Does anybody want lore?
No one wants lore with this.
I mean, I want lore in a universe I care about. I don't give a shit about the Dota universe.
Open letter to Valve. Valve, this is why the thing that we'll talk about later happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just crazy to me that this is where they've gone. I mean, I don't know. Like, I can see that right now, kind of for some weird reason, these little card games are hot. But, I mean, really, it's sad that this is where one of the best video game companies is that it ended up doing little cash grabs.
Two of them.
Yeah.
Like two of the best PC gaming companies are focusing on card games. Like, I love card games, but what the fuck? Like, this isn't the place I thought we'd be in 2017. God damn it.
To that point, like, Hearthstone is mega successful. Do you think Valve is going to be able to muscle in on, say, Hearthstone's success?
Way.
And then
way.
the Witcher folks have got Gwent, which is probably going to be successful. And there's also, Duels of the Planeswalkers for people who play Magic.
Elder Scrolls has a card game out.
Yep.
I mean, it's...
It's a saturated market, as far as I can see.
Everything is a saturated market nowadays. But
I think it was when one come out with me, to be honest, but...
You know what happens, though? Once you have one person make money on it, everybody wants to make money on it, right?
Yeah, true.
I get it, but Valve have never been trend chasers. For all the guff we give them, they've been innovators, mostly. Like, even as recently as their last game, The Lab, they had these really neat and innovative VR games that people praised a lot.
Merve, I don't know how much innovation was in Dota 2.
Okay, that's fair. That is absolutely fair. But as one of the earlier examples of the MOBA genre, I mean, there's League of Legends and all that. I can see why at least it was it was sort of at the forefront of what became a trend, even if they didn't come up with the idea themselves. Like, Valve's been really good at hiring external people to work on stuff. Like, that's how we got Portal. Right, they hired Kim Swift, who no longer works here. I think she works for Amazon Game Studios now.
Yeah, I think that just was a different era of that company where they were like looking for new technologies and new people and new ideas, and now they're just in this niche, in this thing they've built for themselves that they are comfortable where they are. So I don't think they're going anywhere.
I think they've gotten people addicted to their stuff, and they realize that now, and they're just taking advantage of it. It's like somebody who's selling drugs at this point. Do you want to know how you make that shitty card game, sell 1 million copies? Is you make it so you can get stuff in Dota 2 from that game, and I guarantee you, the people who are addicted to Dota 2 will have it on their computers or on their phones, and they'll play it nonstop, so they can get the weird, rare drop hat or whatever in Dota 2, and they'll play. They're just chasing that dollar. They're not doing anything new in any kind of way. They're just chasing after a couple bucks.
Yeah. It's weird how caught up you can get with all of that. Like, it's just data. It's like fucking zeros and ones on the screen. It's not a physical, literal thing that you're getting.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, I gotta get those Overwatch summer skins.
God damn it, Radio Cat.
You really want that, like,
You're part of
bikini
the problem.
costume?
I was hoping you'd tell me more about this hat, because I'm like writing notes down about it now.
It's like the pork pie, but with the pattern on it. It's just zeros and ones.
Okay, I gotta go. I gotta go get this hat.
I'll just start selling cards with hats on them. Like, this is my new business model. They don't do anything, but they're very rare.
I would play a hat-based collectible card game where the hats.
Yeah, you want that built and tell hat.
This is gonna be like a Super Mario Odyssey card game.
I'd play
that. It's gonna be epic.
Oh, you want that bonnet, don't you? Well, you have to pay $30 for it.
I think we would make so much money. Close to our chest.
Like, even real bonnets don't cost as much as this card with a bonnet on.
Bonnet means, like, we have Doctuar on this podcast. Bonnet means something different in the UK.
Wait, does it?
Wait, I mean, it does like the bonnet of a car?
Oh, yeah, I guess it does. I didn't think of that. It is a lady's hat as well, yeah.
It also is the hat. Sorry, that was confusing. But back to Valve, we were talking about how they've changed as a company. We might have gotten hints that there was some internal discord at Valve fairly recently. I mean, the people, ex-Valve employees have actually spoken out about how Valve is organized and how it's kind of like high school.
Nobody has any real job. It's just what you feel like doing.
I mean, even more
I
than
feel
that,
like eating nachos, and then Gabe comes in and says, "You got it," and you can like lay down and eat some nachos. I love that idea.
From what I've been told, it's that people only care about you in that company if you're basically making money for the company.
Mm-hmm.
So
that sounds nice.
A lot of people working on more long-term projects, more experimental projects, were edged out. So that's how Valve, a few years ago, Valve's hardware team was edged out.
Yeah, I really imagine it's like somebody says, "I'm an artist," and then they say, "Yeah, that's cool. Get the fuck out of here."
Go make a hat.
I mean, that's what it's come to. Unless you're drawing models for new Team Fortress hats.
Are you a hat artist? Can you make hats? Well, I guess. Well, then get the fuck to work.
Yeah, so to that point, Mark Laidlaw, former writer at Valve, he essentially leaked the plot of Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Yeah.
It was written in the form of a letter, and the letter might have included a sly shot at his former employers.
Definitely.
So, just to be clear, I'm trying to open this up. Now. My computer's being dumb.
It's a great
spoilers
story.
for a game that'll never exist, by the way. So.
Yeah, definitely. But
Alright,
you know, I really like the story in this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's fun. It did seem like it ended on a cliffhanger, spoilers, but it did, and that's a kind of a bummer. It resolved most of the stuff though, so I'm not.
Well, this is supposed to be Episode 3, so I mean, it's not Half-Life 3, so this would lead to probably where Half-Life 3 would.
Oh yeah,
would
I am awaiting a next letter.
Yeah.
Which will come in 10 years.
Yeah, it's apparently they travel to Antarctica after the cliffhanger of Episode 2, and they come upon like sort of a space station. And the way they describe the way the space station works, it would be almost like you guys know that really famous level now for I'm going to spoil Titanfall 2. That really famous level from Titanfall 2 with the time shifting.
Yeah,
that's
great.
I love
that level.
Yeah, I believe that they would crush it. Like they would have crushed it. Like this level would have been awesome like 5 years ago if Half-Life 2 Episode 3 ever came out. But Sylvie.
Yeah, so they never got around to it. Now, as for the shot at his former employers, this was written like a sort of an in-universe or in-fiction letter, but it did include these lines. At this point, the resistance will have failed or succeeded. No thanks to me. Old friends have been silenced or fallen by the wayside. I no longer know or recognize most members of the research team, though I believe the spirit of rebellion still persists. I expect you know better than I the appropriate course of action, and I leave you to it. Expect no further correspondence from me regarding these matters. This is my final epistle.
Ooh.
Gordon, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
I watched a video about Mark Laidlaw, and apparently he's retired as well. It's not just he left Valve. He's like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. That's how good an impression left on him.
Yeah, if you put so much of your life into this, and it's just like, I bet it was frustrating for him to be like, hey guys, remember the thing that we promised that we worked on and built our company? Let's try to get that kind of moving along. I can only imagine how frustrating it got for him over time.
Yeah, definitely. And I was kind of disappointed at people saying like, oh, I wish he didn't release the letter. Now this Half-Life 2 Episode 3 is spoiled. Like, you idiot! That's not how it works.
It's not coming out. I mean, I've kind of hit that point in my life where I can say it's not coming out.
And they don't even know who this guy is. Like, there's no point even in releasing Half-Life 2 Episode 3. It's completely different people at Valve right now. It's like, it's not going to be the same thing. Like, it's pointless to, like, even wish for this game because it wouldn't be the same story. It's not the same people. It's not the same creative team. It's like saying, oh, I wish I wish a new, Sonic game was released that was exactly the... Yeah, they had to like hire fans to do that because there's no one at Sega that would do that thing anymore. Like, no.
So you're saying you don't want Half-Life Duke Nukem Forever version?
I would love that. I would love if Gordon Freeman had a Duke Nukem voice, actually.
But I mean, that's a good example though, because I mean, there's those games that just, I think even Final Fantasy 15 to an extent, those games are just in development for so long that when they finally come out, they don't deliver. You know, they're just not all the way there.
Yeah, and also you can. Sorry,
I was going to say, I think that was the case with The Last Guardian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my, yeah.
Definitely. And I think those franchises that are so old, you know, you people compare the recent games to those old ones when they don't understand that it's a completely different team, and it's like you're not getting the same thing that you got when you were a kid or when you were younger. That's not going to happen. Like, no.
I mean, even if it is the same team, sometimes you get something that just isn't up to snuff. Because, you know, there's been 10 years between now, or 10 or 15 or 20 years between now and when they made the last one. So it happened with Yooka-Laylee. Yooka-Laylee made a lot of mistakes that weren't in the original Rare platformers.
Yeah.
But,
you know, it was a Kickstarter game. I don't trust those to ever, like, fully, you know, like... deliver on those ideas that they presented in the pitch. Like that never happened. I don't think so. I don't think never.
Even based on the ideas that they presented in the pitch, you know, they say this is going to be a nostalgia trip for people who love the old N64 platformers, and it wasn't as good as those games. And it's not even rose-colored glasses talking, because I went back and tried some DK64. I'm like, this controls better.
Oh, no, don't tell me DK64 is a good game. We're not having that conversation.
Well, wait.
No.
Okay,
no,
fine,
let's get back to Kickstarter. You know what I want? A good game from Bloodstained. Oh my god, I wish that's going to be good. Like,
will it have hats?
Next year?
Oh yeah, it probably will have some kind of a hat on someone.
I mean, do helmets count as hats? It has armor.
Exactly. Does Yooka-Laylee have hats?
It has a card game tie-in, though.
Wait, does Yooka-Laylee have... I actually would believe that it has a card game tie-in. There are like 5 characters in that game, and they're all obnoxious.
One of them is a talking hat.
Well, look at the new Mario game. I mean, they took hats are all crazy, so now you got a Mario with a million hats.
Yeah, like Nintendo.
They're really trying to get that Team Fortress crowd on the Switch.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the Nintendo way, so they took one aspect that doesn't connect to anything and dragged it into a new thing, like with everything Nintendo does, like with multiplayer and shit like that. God, I have
it
some.
It looks delightful. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I'm just saying that Nintendo doesn't understand how to make modern games sometimes. Sometimes they crush it. And sometimes, but still, parts of games that they make, like Splatoon, like it has so many good things for it, but the multiplayer leaves a lot to be, you know.
You can't even buy a Switch right now, so I think that kind of.
Yeah. So speaking of the Switch, there's a huge shortage right now, and I know I'm experiencing this firsthand because I've been trying to get one, and I'm having difficulty. Especially in like California, they're just sold out.
Yeah, I lucked out because I randomly stumbled upon a midnight event the night it was coming out, and I got a ticket to
randomly stumbled upon it. Yeah, well, right. You were sitting for 10 hours straight.
Randomly emerged from his
in a tent.
Where am I? Oh shoot!
It was a last resort. It was like a local retailer, and I was like, I wonder if they'll even get any, or like I wonder if they'll have a lot. And they ended up getting a ton, and I got one of the last ones actually. So
you beat a child half to death for it.
Well,
so, you know,
he was asking for it.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, California kids are menaces.
Exactly.
I have a similar anecdote about my Switch as well. I went to the nearest city, which is called Newcastle, and I thought, if I find one, and I buy it, then that's okay because the cosmos has ordained this as something that's going to happen.
And you found one on the sidewalk.
In a small child's bag. No, I walked into a store and I said, "Do you have any Switches in stock?" And he goes, "I think we've got one, but it's a Breath of the Wild." But and before he finished the sentence, I was like thrusting my credit card in his face. And he went, "It's not got the red and the blue controllers." I went, "I don't care, just give it to me now." But yeah,
hook it to my veins.
I'm really just hoping for a nice bundle for Christmas. I know Nintendo does bundles pretty well, so if they have a good one, that's probably what I'll end up snagging.
Yeah, what happened with me is I actually like I emailed GameStop through their site. I was like, yeah, I'm interested in a Switch. They called me the next morning. They're like, we have one in stock. I'm like, okay, I can't come in until this afternoon because I have meetings at work this morning. But yeah, I'll come this afternoon and pick one up. So just before I headed out to the store, I was like, is it still in stock? And they're like, no, we sold it.
Oh.
Well, one job.
Motherfucker.
Well, they told me explicitly they couldn't reserve it, so they told me to call again. But yeah, somebody walked in and bought it that day. So I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's no shortage of Switch video game consoles, price reserved where I live, so I can just go up to a store and just buy it, but I don't wanna.
You can buy like 5 Switches in Poland.
Yeah, exactly. I can do that. I just choose not to.
They're selling at the gas station now.
Like
they sold Wii's at the gas station. If you remember back in the day when Wii was like that cultural phenomenon, you could get a Wii everywhere. I mean, I remember seeing it at our local supermarket. They had Wii's there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Nintendo does bundles better than consoles sometimes. Their console launches. So I'm gonna wait to see what they do, but. I definitely am looking at like something like a Breath of the Wild bundle with 2 controllers worth.
Yeah, I definitely want to buy a bundle with Splatoon sooner or later, or like with Mario Odyssey, because I think that game will fucking rule.
It's just the Switch is one of those consoles, the first one in a while where I've seen where like you've got to buy the console and then like a good amount of accessories. It's not like just out of the box. I don't think you'd have a good experience with it right out the box. You definitely need a Pro controller, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
didn't get one, but
I haven't gotten one yet either. I want to in the future, but I'm not hurting for it.
I don't know. And then I was thinking like you need the charge stand, you need a couple of those other things. Like it just seems like there's some stuff that they can bundle and make it all kind of a more one purchase type thing for me.
Yeah, like a USB-C charger and a memory card
example.
is what you need.
Yeah, I think those would be the big ones.
Yeah, but I appreciate that. They wanted to, cut costs. Like they not cut costs. Like they didn't want like the console to be like too expensive from the get-go. So they offer you the bare bones experience. Like, oh, if you want this, you can just get this.
Yeah, you can kind of phase it.
If you don't want to take it on the go, then you don't necessarily need the USB-C charger or a carrying case. If you're only going to be playing if you're only using it for party games, and you don't need the extra memory card, things like that.
Yeah.
So I can see why they sold it the way they did. It's not like a completely consumer unfriendly move. It is somewhat consumer unfriendly. Let's be real.
I just got this idea from nowhere, but apparently they're competing for parts with Apple, and it's specifically the flash memory, which mobile phone companies put in these enormous orders for them, and the factories prioritize them, and then poor old Nintendo make, I don't know how many units they make, but they get put at the bottom of the list.
That's weird. I mean, I've got a lot of issues with the fact that they even use that type of memory in the first place. It doesn't really, make a ton of sense. But if that is what they're competing for, then I guess that's one of those things that they're stuck with now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the phones aren't going to go anywhere else.
Yeah, they could try to pay top dollar for it, but that would push up the price of the console, and they really don't want to do that.
Right.
So right now they're stuck.
Well, they can keep turning out those SNES USB drives that you attach controllers to for $80 that people are buying.
Oh, I've not seen that.
I tried to talk Radio Cat out of it. I don't know if I went and got one.
I still have my pre-order at Best Buy reserve.
Of the SNES? Of the SNES
Yeah.
menu? Oh, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, so I turned it up.
Yeah, so the
I'm
SNES
waiting.
Classic was announced this summer. It's coming out, I think, November, I want to say?
Yeah.
I
You're
don't
gonna
know.
get those controllers in your hands, and you're gonna remember real quick how much those things suck.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it for StarCraft or Star Fox 2, but man,
Yeah, StarCraft.
yeah, StarCraft 2. That's a real good SNES game. Wasn't there? There was a StarCraft on Nintendo 64,
Yeah,
right?
I just was about to say, yeah, there was a Nintendo 64 version. Either way, yeah, there's some of the games, were really good on that controller, and others were not quite as good.
I mean,
At least not the square controller that the NES had.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've just played so much emulated SNES games, for the past 20 years now. The SNES is just. I mean, it's been out there for a while now. You can get it on your phone if you want to.
Listen, we're not emulating games. Nobody said so on this podcast. Everybody's buying games.
Well, see, I own the actual
Nintendo,
SNES
please,
game.
Nintendo,
Okay.
I'm begging you.
Yeah, if
The SNES game, it's totally legal.
yeah, I'm pretty sure Dollar Shave Club's gonna sue us before Nintendo.
No, but I mean, really, emulation has been one of those like gray areas forever. They've never really wanted to shut it down. They could have, but it's hard for me to
Nintendo
spend.
really doesn't like it. Like other companies, it's a gray area for them. But Nintendo really hates emulation, and they said so on every time they asked them, a spokesperson said no, absolutely not under any circumstances. So
I mean, they haven't managed to shut down Dolphin or Project 64, so.
yeah.
But that's because they don't have any legal ground to do so.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Yeah.
So
oh,
the
by the
company
way,
is against it, but legally it's a gray area.
By the way, just a correction to what I said earlier. The SNES Classic is out at the end of September in North America, at the start of October in Japan, not November. So.
Yeah. Also September here. I can buy it. I mean, pre-order it, but I don't. Again, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're
I'm
responsible
saying
with your money, unlike
Exactly.
certain other
I'm not
podcasts.
I'm not buying shit with my money. No way.
Hey, okay, and at the very least, these things are sold out, and I could resell it for at least double price.
I think that's what everybody's doing. They're like
Listen,
$270 on eBay right now, or
Yeah,
something like
people
that.
scalp like mad with these limited run items. I mean, limited run items are a lot more common in Japan. That's the consumer culture there.
Sure.
But it's just not a thing in North America. But we know how Nintendo is. They're super out of touch with how North America operates. So they sell these limited run items, which would be perfectly normal in Japan, in North America. And North American customers get confused and angry.
I'm just waiting
justifiably
for
so.
I'm just waiting for a Nintendo 64 Classic, and seeing as we have two classic Nintendo consoles that are excellent, there has to be a Nintendo 64 in there. No, that's not.
I'm putting my money on the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nintendo 64 didn't age well. There's not enough.
If Nintendo wanted my money, all they would do is they would make a digital storefront, and then they would just sell all their shit through their own little storefront, and then let me emulate it on my computer. I don't understand why I need a plastic USB stick to play Nintendo games on. When all that's
crazy. What are you talking about?
It's so dumb. All that dumb
At
little
least-
thing is a USB stick with a ROM and an emulator on it.
They
That's it.
sooner sell you a 20 ton Nintendo console than fucking do that.
Okay, here's all they need to do. All they need to do is the digital storefront put up most of their classic titles. You buy it once, say on Wii U or whatever, you own it forever.
Yeah.
If they port it to Switch, then you own that for the port.
I'm not
You own the
buying
port.
Mario 3 again.
Yeah.
Get with it, Nintendo. I bought Mario 3.
Get with it, Nintendo, you jabronis. They're going to release a weird TV, all in one console on this TV.
People
You
would
can
buy it.
play
If they put Star
by
Fox 2 on,
wobbling
people
your
would buy
head.
it.
Yeah, I mean that's literally all they need to do. They could print money. Also, also localize Mother 3. That's all they need to do.
Yeah.
They
It's
can
so
do a
weird.
bunch of stuff they choose not to. As I use
Yeah.
their consoles, I don't
As
buy
much,
them.
as much as I love them, they need to get some shit together.
Yeah, it's a Sony Entertainment is such a more like maybe because they're in touch with the North America, like Sony North America so much more than Nintendo is with Nintendo America, but like they have no idea how the Western world works.
Yeah, like if I wanted to buy something, if I wanted to buy a PS2 game right now, I could manage to buy it, right? I mean, somewhere, exactly. Somehow. But I mean, if you want certain things, if you don't have a Nintendo console, too bad, man. That's it. That's all you're gonna have to go find out. So, I mean, yeah, everybody else has kept their consoles, together. Does the Switch even have the Virtual Console yet?
Not yet, and it's killing me. I
Right?
want it so bad, and
What the fuck are you doing,
They haven't
Nintendo?
even announced it, and it's infuriating.
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Fuck
Man.
you, Nintendo!
No, they're totally gonna do it. They can't not have the Virtual Console.
Radio Cat, you're killing me.
This is a console that was released without a browser, without Netflix support. It was not released in a state that was ready for market. Maybe it's ready for market now.
Nintendo responds, what's a Netflix? What's a browser? I don't understand what you're
That was on
talking
the Wii
about.
U, though.
The 3DS
It was on the Wii.
2 years, I think.
You got to enter your friend code in. It's a secret
Exactly.
friend code.
And it's a
It's just
16-character friend code. And
the
every
problem
time you
is-
want to play online, you have to type it in.
Like, they released it months earlier than I think they intended, because they wanted to get good fiscal 2016 financials.
Yeah.
So they wanted it out before the end of March. And
I think-
it released in a state that wasn't ready for prime time, and I think only now they've started, adding the features that were supposed to be in it at launch.
So essentially, if you have a Switch now, you bought into Nintendo Greenlight.
Yeah.
Because the internet, like even their online system, they're like, we know this is all fresh. That's why it's all free for the rest of the year until we get our real shit together, and then we're going to charge you.
The eShop wouldn't even store your credit card number. It was like they didn't want your money. You'd go there to buy a new game, and they were like, well, you could be anyone,
Yeah, maybe that's for the best, considering how many people make impulse purchases on their consoles. So Nintendo Switch, still a shortage. Nintendo's still not with it, which is frustrating. Let's move on to discussing some new game announcements. Well, first of all, not really a new game, but Final Fantasy 15, as everybody expected, announced a PC port. So that's going to be a thing.
And then they announced nude patches about 2 seconds later.
Did they announce the furry patches? I want furry patches.
I think they said something like, well, if the community makes them, it just shows how much they love the game, or something weird like that.
Yeah, I mean, they announced it with mod support, too. They said it's going to come with mod tools, so that's going to be pretty good. Also, but, I don't know if the minimum system requirements are out yet, but you guys see the recommended system requirements?
Yeah, it's like 180 gigs or something like that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm serious. It's ridiculous.
Of RAM.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, fine. This is a huge game. It's going to take up a lot of hard drive space. People do have a lot of hard drive space. Whatever.
I don't know.
Wait until Star Citizen comes out. Then, make sure you have a terabyte set aside for that.
Yeah.
But the amount of video RAM they said as for the recommended requirements was 12 gigs.
Yeah.
Of VRAM.
What?
Yeah.
Who has 12 gigs of VRAM?
They've since bumped it down to 11 because people were like, "That's not fucking possible."
What?
I think there are 2 cards out there with 12 gigs of VRAM. There's the Titan and something else.
Yeah, I have a 1080 Ti, but even though it's technically it's 12-ish, it's really 11. Is what's usable. If you got a 1080 Ti and you can't run it, then
what the fuck? People are calling to people at NASA. We need your computers to play Final Fantasy 15. Fuck you.
Shuttle, and then
Keep
what
in
the hell are you doing?
Keep in mind these are the recommended system requirements, so probably the minimum's 3 or 4. gigs of RAM, which is still way too much.
Petition, we need a Large Hadron Collider to start up this game.
Like, if you can't run it on a GTX 970, it's too much.
Oh yeah, I mean, their system recommended are an i7 3700, so like the newer i7s, basically a 1080 Ti, and then I think the hard drive space was either 170 or 180 gigs. I can't remember, but it was a lot. And like
that game doesn't look that good.
Yeah, and people are like, it runs.
Yo, dude, have you seen the food? The food looks amazing in that game.
That's true.
To render this food, we had to sacrifice a lot.
We had to sacrifice any like
10
coherent...
years of development. This food looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, I had to sacrifice all the coherent character development and easy to follow plot.
Worth it.
For like high rendered food.
This sashimi looks delicious.
I 100%ed platinum trophied Final Fantasy 15, and I have zero desire to go back to that game.
Man, wow.
I beat Adamantois. I did everything in that game, and just, man, I'll tell you, that whole last third of that game is garbage. I can't say enough bad shit about that game. I don't know why. You know, a lot of Final Fantasies, they start off really kind of like on a path, and then they branch out and you go to open world, right? This game is the exact opposite. Like the first 4 or 5 chapters feel very open, like, oh wow, I'm gonna get to explore all these areas, and then nope, here you go, you're locked in now, you're on the critical path to go beat the game, and it just takes a nosedive. And everything, once you kind of start that whole thing, it's not good.
So wait, they announced Final Fantasy 15 for PC, and they haven't announced Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age for the PC, which I would rather play.
Oh, I love Avalis a lot more than anything.
Yeah.
15 though, man, I don't know. I didn't play any of the stories. I heard those were kind of like all over the place in terms of how good they were. You know, like the Nox, or not the Nox story, like the Prompto story and the Gladio story. I didn't play any of those, so can't really judge. But I have no desire to go back to that game world unless they can tell me they're going to do something to make it more fun. Because, it's not good.
Is 12 the only one that's not on PC now?
Sorry?
Which
Is
one?
12 the only Final Fantasy that's not on PC now?
Yeah, 12. Yeah, they will get it out, I'm sure. That aside, man, Prompto is a dumb name.
Well, you can experience.
My name is Prompto.
In 3D. Well, his is the VR one, right?
Wasn't Prompto like a fat kid who lost weight or something like that? Is that
his
the story?
Is terrible.
My name is Prompto.
Oh, okay.
He's horrible. I think he's the worst part of the whole game, to be honest with you. He's supposed to kind of be the comic relief, but it's just mostly just him being annoying.
With a name like Prompto, you know what?
Like, did they advertise like at E3 a couple of years ago, play as Prompto before anybody even knew who Prompto was?
No, thank you.
I think they were advertising that you could play as him in the PlayStation VR though, but like he's the worst character. Like he doesn't do much, so I don't really know what they were going with that. But
hey guys, Prompto's here. Like, wow, yeah.
He's like the Poochie of Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah. Where's Prompto?
That's what everybody should be asking at all times. Speaking of other game announcements, I know Doctuar wanted to talk about this.
Oh.
Microsoft announced Age of Empires 4 after many years of that franchise kind of being
barely
dead.
mind.
Yeah. Well, they kind of tipped their hats when they announced the remake at E3. They basically said, I don't remember what they said, but they basically said they were going to announce it anyway. But
they said there's more AOE news on the way.
Yeah.
So I've only played like a bit of, I think, AOE 2 a really long time ago, so I don't know much about the franchise. But my understanding is that it is kind of a beloved franchise that they've got going.
It was with Ensemble Studios, who did all of them, I believe, up until now. But now Relic, who did Dawn of War and Company of Heroes, have taken over. And apparently their last few games have been divisive. I don't know if that's the word to use.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about at least what their most current Relic game was Warhammer, Dawn of War 3, and to some extent what they did with kind of Company of Heroes 2. They're kind of trying to, I feel like Relic thinks that RTS is stale in some ways, and they're trying to put things in there, I think, that'll basically mix it up. What that led to in Company of Heroes 2 was a ton of microtransactions, because they wanted to kind of copy. You guys remember Command & Conquer Generals?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so they were kind of trying to do something like that, where like, yeah, you play as the Germans, but you play as the guy with that incorporates the Blitzkrieg doctrine. So he makes tanks better, and he gets like way less attrition in enemy areas with tanks, but he can't make infantry or something like that. So they kind of give you some pros and cons. So you can play as the Germans or the Americans or whoever, but it's customized to that kind of level. And a lot of people loved it and a lot of people hated it because there was like in-game drops, or you could buy the DLC more or less that would like give you those types of doctrines, or each guy could have like 5 or 6 upgrade slots. So you could be the American.
Can I buy a Nazi hat?
Yeah, you can buy a ton of
hats. Almost certainly, yeah.
This game is hat vendor too.
Sign me up.
You could buy like camo. Every little thing you could buy. That's why people went kind of crazy. Like people were like, okay, if you're going to sell not just the generals, you're going to sell the camos. It became very pay to win because you could buy, like, for example, like an ability to let your machine gunners reload twice as fast. That's a big fucking deal in a game. You know what I mean? So they kind of went the other way with it. And Dawn of War 3 kind of feels more like a MOBA in some ways. There's definitely lanes that you push. You can't just can't rush.
Like Command and Conquer Soul Survivor, the original MOBA.
Yeah. They took away a lot of this in patches, though. Now it's a lot more straightforward, but they got a lot of flack at the beginning because you couldn't just build a force and rush an enemy space. You kind of had a leapfrog. Yet, like, each map had, like, let's say, like, an orbital cannon. You had to capture that. Then they would start using the orbital cannon against your enemy's shields, and then you would capture, like, the thing in the middle and hold that, and that would basically, like, lower your enemy's shield. So now you've got the orbital cannon, this. And it's very much like taking it step by step rather than just, making a big blob of units and moving it. So I feel like in some ways, yeah, they're not getting it right, but I think they're trying to do some cool new stuff in the RTS area that Age of Empires is kind of one of those things you could really, really make some improvements on. There's a lot of nostalgia there, don't get me wrong. The game's really fun and everything, but I think there's going to be some more improvements because if you remember how Age of Empires battles went, it was literally just, group everything with one and click on the enemies and hope that you had more men than they did.
All units.
Yeah.
All units.
Exactly.
The thing is, the amount of information about it is a bit scant as well, because the first one was sort of post-Rome era. Then you had medieval era, and then it was colonial era. And it looks like from this trailer it's going to be like all of them, maybe even going into modern era. I don't really know where the game's going in that regard.
What I'm getting is kind of more of a. I don't know if you guys ever played Rise of Nations. I'm getting kind of a Rise of Nations type vibe to it, where you're basically playing like 4 games. So like you're playing like, let's say, like a Rome era game, then you're playing a medieval game, then you're playing like a colonial game, then you're playing a modern game. But each one kind of builds into it. So if you're if you tech up to an era, you basically win that first era, and then you enter the next era going into it with better whatever. If you
sounds a lot like Spore, which is not a good sign.
Yeah, well, I mean, Spore made a lot of mistakes, but I'm just saying that, like, you can win a game halfway through, and then they kind of reset the pieces on the table in some way. At least that's kind of what I mean, Rise of Nations kind of did that. I think there was another way to play. I can't remember Rise of Nations as well as I could, but there was another way to play that was just basically like, yeah, you could be doing the civilization thing of having machine gunners against bow and arrow guys, but usually the game kind of had like a little catch-up mode. But it'll be interesting to see what Age of Empires has.
Man, my favorite RTS game is Age of Mythology. I wish they did something with that.
Yeah.
That
was Ensembler as well, so...
Is that the one where, like, you have... Is it like the Vinci? Or no, Rise of Legends is the one I'm thinking of.
No. Yes, I played the Rise of Legends, was pretty good, but I had some really fun memories with Age of Mythology. But yeah, my brother loved Rise of Legends, and I saw it as a step in the right direction with 3D real-time strategy games, which was a bit stale at that point also. Like real-time strategy games have been stale for a little while. Like I think StarCraft 2 like doubles down on the old tried and like very tested elements of real-time strategy games and doesn't try to shake things up. So
yeah. I mean, the single player stuff of StarCraft is pretty good. There's a lot of little things in there. The campaign, I guess I would call it, but yeah, the versus mode is very much just like tried and true. I mean, it that's the best way to describe it. They didn't change much, but then they put a lot of stuff into the campaign. I feel like that was very, very, very fun.
And that's it. That's what.
That's it. That's Age of Empires.
That's all we have to say about Age of Empires 4.
Yes.
Another interesting game that got announced recently, Swery 65 of Deadly Premonition and D4 fame, just announced his new game called The Good Life.
Yes.
It's going to star a detective who investigates a mysterious English town where everyone turns into cats at night.
That
So it's non-fiction then.
And her goal is to sort of figure out the mystery behind this town. It sounds a lot gameplay-wise like Deadly Premonition.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be, 3D sort of action-adventure game where you explore the city. And apparently it's going to have sections where you play as a cat, kind of like Murdered Soul Suspect, but not shitty.
Yeah.
And
What a
it will
thought.
be funded via FIG, which also funded Psychonauts 2 and the Consortium sequel.
Oh.
So
Fig's a little bit. I don't know if I'm as into Fig as I am some of the other ways to get backed on games, because they have like you're buying shares of the game and stuff.
Yeah.
And you guys,
Yeah.
that's
so
But
as
I don't
somebody
think
who's
it's for you. I think
Yeah.
it's for like entrepreneurs.
yeah.
Okay, so let me clarify what Fig is. Because I've funded 2 games on Fig.
Well. Look at that.
Daddy,
No,
we're
okay.
over
Mr.
here.
Moneyman here.
No.
Ka-ching.
Okay, no. The way it works is, for regular people like us, it works kind of like Kickstarter, where you chip in $30 and then you'll get the game and some rewards down the line, or you can choose to buy shares.
Oh,
So you have the option.
So it's tiered, almost.
Yeah, sort of. Like the share options are completely different from the Kickstarter-esque options. And if you choose to buy shares, you don't get any rewards. You instead are an investor in the company building the game.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So you have either option. So if, say you are an entrepreneur or an investor and you have, $4,000 to throw around, then you can look up a bunch of ROI projections and decide whether or not you want to put your $4,000 in that game. But if you're just a regular fan like us, then it works just like Kickstarter.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see how it works. We'll see if it even gets funded. I think Swery 65 does have enough clout and enough of a name in the industry that he probably can get it funded, but who knows?
I have a trivia fact about it, if anyone wants to hear it.
Let's
Well, the
hear
game,
it.
The Good Life, is set in the village it's set in is called Rainy Woods, and Rainy Woods was the original title of Deadly Premonition before they rebooted it, apparently. So I don't know. It might be a throwback to that, just with bad teeth and poor food.
Huh.
Well.
Okay, as long as they have fish and chips, I'm cool.
Let's say, okay, I'm gonna say that I'm a big fan of Swery because I think it's the games were not like 100% there sometimes, of course, and like had some issues and bugs and like boring gameplay here and there, but they had heart.
I
had
literally
a lot of heart.
can't complete whatchamacallit, Deadly Premonition on my computer. It just reaches one point where it keeps crashing, and no matter what I do, like I can mess around with my drivers, change settings, try to run it as a legacy application. Nothing I do allows me to get past that crash.
Well,
so
I
I've never
did
been able to
complete
complete
it,
Deadly
so I
Premonition.
guess Swery chose me and not you.
Are you sure that's not the canon ending? That's like it's all very meta or something.
Yeah, it crashes 5 hours in.
And erases
probably
everything
is.
from your computer.
Yeah, I want Swery 65 and Suda 51 to have a cage match and decide who gets to make weird games from here on out. Just only one of the
two. A collaboration. I want a collaboration.
It would just be like push one button and it goes into like some kind of psychedelic freak out mode for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then...
Okay, like we laugh, but like who's McCall? Yoko Taro collaborating with Platinum created one of the best games in years. So maybe when you put like two wackos together, you actually get weird genius, because they sort of because you get the good points of both of them, and you get the crazy imagination and the skills of both of them, but they sort of act as a check on each other's worst impulses.
Yeah.
So you end up with something weird but also really good.
Yeah, I think that every great artist needs some kind of a technical or a guy or an editor or something like that will keep you in check, and that will
Kojima, right?
Yeah, yeah, somebody that will kind of say, nah, that's a bad idea. Like, I've heard some crazy stories about what Kojima was doing with his time and money when making Metal Gear games, and like, I know he's a perfectionist and they allow him to do a lot of stuff, but I think that a lot of that is wasting time, and I know like you have to sacrifice something, and if you're trying to make a game, and I think that's why those collaborations work for the most part, and I hope that this new Swery game, because he has a new studio, like he has someone like that can like direct his like, you know, artistic tendencies to something interesting, like imaginative, and not like bog down a project, because that seems like the main problem, that like people like that, like I'm not saying like everyone is like that, but I've seen Swery's work, and like D4 never got finished, and there's like a problem when it comes to creating games when you're like an artist like that really has a crazy imagination and wants to put everything into a game, and you know, sometimes these things never get finished, and that's about.
Yeah, like I definitely think Kojima needs an editor, which is why I'm I'm super curious about what Death Stranding is going to be.
Yes.
But I'm also really scared because like when he was working on the canceled Silent Hills, Guillermo del Toro was actually contributing as a director of the game. So I thought, you know, del Toro and Kojima together would, you know, sort of act as a check on each other. You get something really weird and cool.
Yeah.
But for Death Stranding, it's all Kojima, and del Toro is actually like an actor.
Yeah.
He's playing one of the characters in the game. So I'm a little bit scared that, you know, it's going to turn out to be something just not what we were expecting.
I think it's going to be crap. I'm calling it now. I'm not afraid. I think people are like, "Oh, you just don't get it. It's so deep." But no, I think it's going to be. I think it's
you know, the thing I always.
Yeah.
The thing I always think about when I think about these projects is like the original Star Wars, where you know, George Lucas was just like an ideas guy and like was limited by technology and by the studio, and that the sequels where they let him do everything.
Lucas.
Yes, it was just insane. Like, he has good ideas and he has like imagination, but like I think like Kojima, but like if you give them everything they want to do, like allow them to do everything they want to do, it goes like off the road insane, and like it's sometimes the kind of like turns into a horrible mess, which I think Metal Gear Solid 5 was a horrible mess, with some good gameplay ideas and some, you know, fun. Well, no, the characters weren't fun, but some parts of that were
apparently
fantastic.
Quiet was fun for some people
when it rained.
Anyway, that's how it turns out. Like
it's not bullshit because she breathed through her skin.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, right.
I totally bought it. I don't understand what the deal was about. He says.
Yeah, exactly.
Crossing his fingers.
Like, yeah. Of course, she's like feeding like that, and that's why she has to be naked.
Yeah, in a cell that has clear walls for you to see at all times.
It's like that scene with Patrick Stewart from Extras when he's like justifying his weird fetish by writing a script where he says like people's clothes just fall off. Everything. Yeah, I've seen everything.
It's too late.
So yeah, it's exactly like that.
Yeah. So we've talked about games that are upcoming that have been recently announced. Let's talk about some games that have been recently released, or games that have recently gained a lot of popularity. The first one being Playerunknown's Battlegrounds, which has over the summer become a huge hit despite still being in early access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar with the premise, it's a last man standing game where the map shrinks over the course of a match. So by the end, you're in a very small area trying to kill whoever's left.
It's Battle Royale.
Yeah, that's what they call it. A Battle Royale.
Hunger Games? What? No?
Yeah, it's still in early access, though, on Steam. So I guess maybe it's an example of an early access success story.
I know Radio Cat's been playing a lot. I'm really, really, really intrigued by it, but I don't have a lot of hard and fast rules. I just got burnt too many times. I'm not going to buy another early access game. If everything's still the way it is right now, I'll buy it as soon as it releases. But it's just like the one thing I kind of dig in on now and just won't do it. But the gameplay looks really fun, and I do think this is one of those games that it's really the streamers that have made it the success that it is. Because there's lots of games out there that are just like this. Not just like this, but very, very similar. But streamers, for whatever reason, really took to this game. I mean, it was inescapable. When I was playing another game and I was just looking for some stuff on Twitch, and I mean, the first 2 pages were probably people playing Playerunknown. So I mean, that to me is a sign that's what carried this game kind of into the huge success category. But I've heard, I don't know, Radio Cat can probably say some stuff. There's been some rumblings that there's like microtransactions coming and stuff like that. A lot of people don't seem too happy about all that. So I'll wait till it's out of early access personally.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get the like hesitation for the early access because I typically also totally stay clear of it. But I had heard like enough and I had seen it and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And there was a sale on some like Green Man Gaming or something. And so I was like, oh, what the hell? I'll give it a shot. And I've really, really been having a good time with it. And I mean, it seems like that they have a good like plan for the future and have pretty steady updates. I know there's been some like controversy or some fear because they are trying to scale back it's not as frequent updates, but I think they're going to be bigger, more spaced out. At least that's my understanding.
Mm-hmm. 2 interesting things about this game is that I agree that it's like the streamers made this game so popular, and it's because I think it's like a game in which you kind of tell your own story, like random things happen to you, and they kind of like fall into this like kind of like a tale of survival, and like when you watch it, it's kind of like a movie in a way. Yeah, especially when there's like a team of people and they're like trying to design some like strategies and like think on their feet and racing each other and all of that stuff. Like, it's very interesting to see streams of people that don't even know how to play this game. Like, you don't even have to know how to play this game for it to be interesting to watch, which is cool. I think that's very rare in games. You don't have to know how to play to have fun. Basically, you just have to have a couple of friends and just mess around. And even if you die, it's cool. And that's why even 100 people start in a match and only one team wins. But
a chicken dinner. No,
yeah, a chicken dinner. But I bet 100% of those 100 people have probably had fun playing it. So it's very interesting in that regard. And I'm curious about a kind of a different thing. When we're going to be talking about Game of the Year games, is this classified as a game from this year before it actually comes out? It's still in early access, but
I think it's classified as being released in the year where it was given a full release. So if it comes out of early access this year, it'll be a 2017 game. If it comes out of early access next year, I guess it'll be a 2018 game.
It's so weird because the biggest, like, now is like the zeitgeist for this game. Like, this is the year to talk about this game. Like,
it might be dying out by the time it actually releases.
Yeah, exactly. Weird.
Because this game introduced me to something else too that I've actually kind of love to hate. Have you guys heard about stream sniping on Playerunknown Battlegrounds?
Yeah, I have not.
What is this?
You can define it for our listeners.
Sure. So what a lot of people do is they watch popular streamers play this game, and then what they do is they find out, well, this guy is hiding in this house, and then they go and murder him. And I think it's hilarious. I don't know why it's so funny to me, but it's like I hate streamers, so that's one part of it. But
you want to watch them suffer, basically.
Yeah. But it's just so funny that they're whining.
It's like advanced screen peeking.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it is.
You set yourself up for me to peek at your screen, you know? So, I mean, I get it that, streamers hate it, but hey, too bad, man, Because
there's one trick. This one trick to win a game of Playerunknown.
I think it's kind of a shitty thing to do.
It happens a lot in Elite Dangerous as well.
It is totally a shitty thing to do.
It's like your friend from primary school, like sitting next to you and looking at your.
Yeah, like you're playing GoldenEye. Don't look at my screen.
Exactly. I was about to say 007 GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of early access games, I'm looking at Steam right now. I didn't realize this DayZ is still in early access.
There you go. That's a cautionary tale, I think.
Game that started it all, and it's still in fucking early access.
That's why I don't buy. I was talking about I don't buy early access, and it's specifically games in this genre. I don't know what you want to call it, battle arenas or survival games, whatever you call it. But Ark, that game, they weren't even out of early access, and they were selling DLC to early access. I mean, a lot of these games have really weird, like Rust. Rust was like the proto Playerunknown, right? People went crazy for Rust, and then the developers just kind of like, we're good enough. We made enough money.
7 Days to Die as well was another one that did come on the console. The Forest,
but a bunch of these games.
Yeah, and that's the reason I've just been like, look, I can't buy. I mean, Playerunknown, I definitely think is going to get a release because now you've got Microsoft having exclusive access and content and stuff, so it's going to get there. But I mean, just in case, I'm not going to. I don't know one of these games.
But it does make sense.
DayZ has been in early access since December 16, 2013.
Yeah.
But it makes sense from a business perspective, right? You develop a game. Like, it either catches on or not. If it catches on and there's a big zeitgeist around it, then it's early access. You can, like, say, okay, there are bugs, but it's early access, don't worry about it. And people don't get up in arms about it because it's not fully released, but there's still a community, and there's still a big community around it that buys the game and buys the things inside the game, And then when it starts to like peter out, you just say, okay, we're done, and you don't release it. You don't have to.
Yeah, communities these days move so much in games.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. Yeah, you're not earning money when you're going to release the game. Sure, okay, fine, but for whom? Like, everybody will move to somewhere else. Like, it's not profitable.
Yeah, that's really a problem with early access. Is that opinion on these games turns so quickly too. Remember when everybody was talking about DayZ and how much they loved it a few years ago?
Yeah, and
I'm looking at it now. Yeah, recent reviews are mostly negative. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the reviews on Steam right now. One of them just says scam.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is kind of stuff like that Playerunknown right now is just starting to do, which is like things like microtransactions and upgrading content or releasing content before the game's fully released.
Yeah, that's shit.
You kind of can piss off the people who got you there in some ways, if there's, I mean, I'm not saying Radio Cat is, but there's people like him who paid for early access. Should he get better stuff than me if I buy it when the game comes out? Or, is just knowing how the game works good enough? Or is anybody going to really buy the game at launch because everybody who's bought it by now is already into it? And it's almost like jumping into a game that's past its learning curve, right? So if I go to play now, I'm going to be against people who've been playing it now for 6 months. So is it going to be any fun for me when everybody knows where to go and what to do, as opposed to me just, dropping in and trying to learn from the go?
Yeah, but I think that some communities that, like, if a game is big enough, like Rocket League, like I can jump into Rocket League right now and have fun. Like I did it like past weekend with a couple of friends, and we still played a game against like total newbies. Like it was fun.
But that has some kind of matchmaking. I don't think PlayerUnknown has any kind of matchmaking.
I don't think it does. But I would say that one of the things that I do love about the game is even when I'm doing shit, I feel like I'm usually having some sort of fun, or like I can squeeze something out of it where I'm not like, well, I just wasted 20 minutes in a match.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, even if you're dying and even if you're not doing well in the game, you're still having fun with it. I think that's the main thing about this game. That's why it's so
great
successful.
to hear. That to me is like the exact opposite of like a MOBA. You know what I mean? Like there's there's an entire MOBA match.
I'm not winning.
Well,
I'm not
part of the MOBA experience is having people curse at you in Rush.
I've gotten to the end of a Dota match. I'm like, I've literally just wasted an hour. I've gotten no better with this character. I learned nothing this match. I just got stomped. And that's good to hear that this game isn't like that. So that makes me a little more on the side of buying it.
We'll see how it develops. I'm very curious on where they go from here.
Yeah, we'll see. It seems promising, but once upon a time, DayZ seemed promising. So.
We all knew that would turn to shit. I knew the day it came out.
Yeah, you're real big on that whole hindsight is 2020 thing, aren't you?
Yeah. I never thought DayZ was especially interesting because I saw it as kind of like, because it kind of like felt, I played it a little bit and it felt like there was something missing from that game. Like I was playing it and I wasn't having any fun. Like I understood the one concept it had that it was interesting, was that you couldn't trust people. You didn't know who to trust and who to not trust and stuff like that. And that was interesting, I guess. But I didn't have fun. Like it wasn't engaging enough. And PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds from the get-go is like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's kind of this timer that is going off, like this whole spectacle. It's kind of like very interesting. You get engaged very easily, and you feel it. Like you feel stressed. You feel exhilarated when you kill someone. Like when you hear like a car coming by. It's fast paced. It's more dynamic. So I can see that there is a lot to improve, but I think the concept is there and it's polished, and I don't think they have to improve all that much. I think if they would just come out today and say, the game is finished now, people wouldn't be like, oh, bummer. Like, no, there will be updates and shit, but the game is basically finished from what I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's weird to me that I think it's finished, but the stuff that they're adding right now seems like monetization stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like loot drops and crates and stuff like that. I'm not exactly against it, but I think you put the game out before you have people start buying microtransactions. That's just weird to me to have that in early release.
Yeah. So my hindsight, my hindsight comes from, I don't think DayZ was finished ever, and I think Battlegrounds is finished now. They're just adding additional shit to it.
What I understand is people still fall through the floor in DayZ.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's I never thought it was good.
Yeah, and I think with the monetization, I think like they're slowly kind of rolling this out as like a precursor to like the full release, which I'm with you. I think they should have held off on the loot boxes and keys and shit until after the full release was done, but it just seems greedy.
Yeah, that's the best way I would describe it. I mean, they know that right now is their moment. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, to me, I don't know what makes a game move out of early access other than you just arbitrarily saying it. If you're still going to support it, but I mean, I don't know. I would just say, don't milk the people who got you there. You know, is the kind of idea behind it.
That's how the saying goes. Don't milk the people that got you there.
That should be a saying. So let's now talk about a couple of other video games that have come out recently. Like a whole bunch of video games came out over the summer. This being 2017, the year of too many video games. Recently, there was Hellblade that came out. Tacoma, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. The Kingdom of Loathing folks made a standalone RPG called West of Loathing. Agents of Man came out. Apparently not that well received. Splatoon 2 was this summer. Then Sundered and Pyre, which is from the Supergiant guys. The remastered Crash Bandicoot. Cliffy B's new game, LawBreakers. Lots of games came out. Have any of you guys played any of these? I've literally played none of the games I just listed. Have any of you guys played them?
I've
played any of them.
Yeah. I played Pyre, and it seems fun. I still haven't finished it, but I'm having fun with it. It's like a mashup of, digital, interactive novel with like a fun little sport game. It's fun. I'm having fun with it.
It's like a sports RPG almost?
Yeah, kind of like that. But it's not, it's not like super engaging on either front, but like I enjoy the mashup, and I'm having fun with it.
Yeah, I'm about there with you because I'm playing it as well. I'm not done, but I'm enjoying it. But I feel like they could have gone a little bit deeper in some direction. I'm not as engaged as I'd like to be.
Yeah, exactly. With either the sport or the novel.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm having fun. It's an interesting game.
Oh, and it's gorgeous too.
And the music and the art style are fantastic.
Yeah.
As usual with the Supergiant games. So.
Exactly.
The only new release I've been playing, you didn't mention it. It's a little game called Madden, but I don't think you guys want to hear about it.
Oh yeah, Madden 20. Is it 2017 or 2018?
It's 2018.
And that basketball game.
2017. Sorry.
Yeah, is that a popular franchise? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, maybe you've heard of it. It's the worst Madden in a long time. I wrote a little bit about it.
Really?
It's horrible. It's their first switch to the new engine. And
Well, that comes glitches.
Frostbite, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Frostbite game now, which means the exterior shots are gorgeous. But the game itself, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I feel like there's just a lot of hiccups in it. Too many bugs, and I think I posted this when I was giving my little mini review of what we were playing. Is Madden to me is all about the details, right? Like it's all about like them getting like this guy's stats right and the way this guy moves and stuff. I've been playing on the simulation, which is kind of like their version of like Madden, right? Like it's not arcade, which is kind of feels like NFL Blitzy, but it's also not their super hardcore one where if you don't hit X at the right time, your guy explodes and gets injured, and you fumble the ball, and the other team,
Man, I wish that was it.
So it just doesn't feel right. I like to play. I like to rush the quarterback, as like a defensive end or a defensive lineman. It seems like the game wants you to play corner. They've done some changes to ball hawk. I really don't like the quarterback passing system. There's something up with like I can't be like. With Madden, they don't give you like patch notes, right? And say exactly what's different. I can just say this feels different to me. There's lots and stuff. As I was playing it, I was like, this just doesn't feel right. The defense that's supposed to beat a certain type of offense doesn't always seem to click. There's a lot to it that just there's something up with it this year. I'd say take this one off and wait till they work a lot of the bugs out.
How about the single player mode, the story mode?
It was interesting. I mean, you can tell they put a lot of effort into it. They're kind of going for like almost like an RPG feel. There's a lot of choices you make that determine your character, and then you can add your character into the Madden Ultimate Team, which is where the big push is. Make no doubt, Madden Ultimate Team is where Madden is going in the future. The number of people who want to play what I play, which is franchise mode, must be going down because the online is all MUT. Everything, everywhere you look, they can say, buy card packs, upgrade them, do this,
microtransactions.
Oh, up the ass. Man. It's
never
ridiculous.
heard of them.
God damn it, man.
EA's never seen one they don't like, but this is like particularly egregious. And I play Madden to play as my team and take them to the Super Bowl, right? But I feel like less and less people are doing that I don't know if you guys have ever played a FIFA game in the last 10 years, but this comes from FIFA, right? Where the idea is like, I'm going to build a super team because I'm more of a soccer fan than a, I don't know, Arsenal fan or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but whatever. But the idea there is, you create the ultimate team with all the best players from around the world. But I don't know if that's as much a true thing in football. It feels like in football, people are more a fan of the team than they are, this individual player on some other team. But they're really shoehorning the whole game towards this Madden Ultimate Team. And I don't think the game's as good for it. But the single player was cool.
I think it's kind of like a fantasy sports element.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that with all the fantasy football thing going on, I'm maybe tempted to say that people are more and more about the players than the teams.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, I'm not. To me, to create like a super unbalanced, unstoppable team is almost not fun. It's kind of fun to play with your team, warts and all. Maybe you don't have this guy, but you have this guy. So I don't know. It used to be my skill could kind of overpower. I'm not saying I'm like amazing at Madden, but I would normally trounce the computer. But it kind of feels like with a lot of the changes this year, I'm just not there. The long shots fun mode, it's hard to explain, but a lot of the stuff that the decisions you make has an impact on how your character builds. It feels like the taste of a mode that they want to get in. I think it probably took me about 4 hours to get through. It's not a ton of stuff. I played it on my 10-hour EA Access trial, so to give you an idea. But it feels like it's the start of a mode that they're probably going to start investing in more and more. It's almost like a single-player version. But the number one thing I'd say about this edition of Madden is they assume you know a lot of stuff before you even pick up the controller when it comes to Madden. Like, what's juke, what's this, what's that. But if you're not as into Madden as other people have been, it's gonna be weird because you're gonna pick up that controller and it's just gonna feel like you have no idea what you're doing. So, weird release. I'd say skip this year if I was being honest with you.
Interesting.
That's my new game. Truthfully, I mean, Destiny 2 has sucked up it's created this black hole of gaming for me where I want to play games where I can be done with them before Destiny 2 releases because I am all in on Destiny 2 on PC. So.
When's that coming out?
Well, on PC it's coming. Destiny 2 hits consoles a couple weeks from now, but PC is October 24th. So actually the PC beta starts tomorrow. Well, the 28th. I'm sure you guys will listen to this later than then. But so yeah, I'll be the beta is going to suck up a ton of my time. And then once that's done, I just want to clear backlog. The new stuff all looks good, but the thing, as you're reading through that list, it's almost all games I'm like, I can wait. You know what I mean? I can wait for the Steam winter sale or whatever. A lot of $20, $30 games that all look kind of cool or have one cool aspect to it, but not too much stuff right now that I feel like is beating down the door. I got to play it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even go out and buy the new Uncharted yet.
Yeah.
Mainly because I tend to play only one PS4 game at a time. And right now, I'm still knee deep in Persona 5, just crossed the 100-hour mark on that
What are
game.
you doing?
Wait, who's been playing it?
Same. I just crossed the 100-hour mark too.
You've been playing it for months.
I've been playing it since the release date. I think I started playing it 3 days after it was released.
I haven't
What are you
finished it
playing?
either.
1-to-1? Like 1 day real life? What are you doing?
Pretty much. I mean, I've been playing PC games in the meantime. I mean, I also finished a doctorate in that time. So
Persona 5 takes as much time as finishing a doctorate.
No, see, he got his doctorate in Persona. That's
Okay.
that's probably what happened. Yeah, so I've really not been finishing games. And I bought West of Loathing and Tacoma. I just haven't started them yet.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been playing. I want to finish Binary Domain and Danganronpa Another Episode.
Oh my god, that's a fantastic game.
Binary Domain, really?
Yeah, I like it.
The voice recognition stuff though is
No.
fucking broken.
No, yeah, that's shit. But I really like everything else in that game.
I've been trying to say every time I want to say Roger, it parses as weight.
Yeah,
I don't even
exactly what
understand how
happened
it's
to me.
possible.
I have a refute though. I can. Big
That'll teach
Bo?
you foreigners. Play our American video games.
I don't think it's a Japanese game.
Well,
I don't think my Canadian accent is so thick that it can't understand
no.
Roger.
It's broken. I know it's broken, but it has big bow in it, so everything else is like...
It does have big bow. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Whenever I want to say, I think regroup, it parses this big bow. So I say regroup, and Big Bow's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna regroup, but not now.
Like, God damn it, Big Bow. But yeah, I've been meaning to check out West of Loathing and Tacoma, which I both own.
Yeah, West of
Loathing has been getting really good reviews.
Yeah, I want to play that. Yeah.
Hellblade is my one. There,
yeah, I've been playing that as well.
Hellblade, I'm gonna wait for like a price cut because.
So, Doctuar, you say you've been playing Hellblade?
Yeah, I wanted to try and finish it before this podcast, but I got stuck on one bit, so that didn't happen.
I don't think it's very long, right?
It's not a difficult game. It's just there are a few
puzzle bits.
No, it's more insta-death moments, and I was late at night, and I think it was the fourth or fifth time I'd been killed by something. I won't spoil it, and I literally threw the controller on the floor and went, "Oh no more." But it's not a difficult game, I think it auto scales the difficulty for the combat. The combat is fantastic, by the way. It's the highlight of the game for me, but it's hard to play for a long time as well. It's intense.
Yeah.
The combat looked like a little bit like Punch-Out in some way.
A little bit like what? Sorry.
Punch-Out, like.
Yeah.
So like you recognize basic patterns and try to like respond with your own attacks.
The reviews have been off the chart for it too. So I mean that's really interesting. Ninja Theory is one of those companies that, like, I don't know, I either connect with the game right away or I just kind of don't. I mean, I loved Enslaved. Did you guys play that game?
Yeah.
And Heavenly Sword did nothing for me. Like, I don't know, it's weird.
I played Enslaved. I'm actually not a huge fan of it.
Really?
To be honest.
Did you like Heavenly Sword?
I haven't played Heavenly Sword.
Oh, okay.
I think like during Enslaved, like Ninja Theory has this one thing that they have going for it that's very strong, is that during Enslaved there was this one moment between two characters that I thought was more genuine than anything I've played up to this point in all of video games. Like the subtle facial animation, the great voice acting, like it all felt very natural and heartfelt, and like I was very engaged into.
Yeah, it felt like a movie at a lot of points.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With Hellblade, there are more moments where I'm just watching it than I am playing it, if that makes sense. Like occasionally, I'll be tootling about trying to solve a puzzle or something, and then I'll wander into a room and 3 giant Norse warriors will attack me, and I'm like, oh god, yeah, this. So, yeah, it's very laid back, but when it does smack you around the head, you pay attention. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. I'm enjoying it though overall.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. So are there any other games that have come out recently you guys have been playing?
I played Splatoon 2.
Oh yeah. How's that been going?
I've been enjoying it, and honestly, they've been doing more updates than I expected, weapons-wise. Like, it's been about 1 a week minimum, ish. And then they've been announcing some new maps and stuff, which has been really cool. Like, I love their take on just continuing trying to get people to play by just constantly adding new equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
So are you really enjoying the GooTuber?
Oh, I love GooTubing and paint rolling and splatting, you know.
Yeah.
I do enjoy splatting myself.
Yes. Like, I think Nintendo just like steered into this game. People are gonna make gross jokes about it. Let's just call them.
Yeah.
Well, okay. For the first splat test was the ketchup versus mayo, and
God.
The guns shot like ketchup color and mayo color. So
oh my god,
mustard was right there. I mean,
so you got to swim in all that creamy mix.
And yeah, did it start out with like, okay, it was the pre-release Splatfest. It was
sounds
cake
like
versus
a
ice cream.
fucking NCIS episode.
But it's been a lot of fun. They really took, I think, a lot of the elements from Splatoon 1 and fleshed it out into this, and it's been pretty much just improvements across the board. So it's like Splatoon version 2.0, and I've played online with other people and have not had an issue. So it's succeeded all my expectations.
So, and how's the single player?
The single player has been decent. I've only dabbled a little bit. I didn't really touch the single player in Splatoon 1, but this seems like they definitely went in a bit more of a they fleshed it out a little bit more, had a bit more of a story to go along with it, at least from what I've seen, and it's kind of just a separate progression tree. It's interesting. I think it's good for, if you're on the go and you don't have Wi-Fi, but the game is still very much about the online and multiplayer battles.
Oh, good to know. So, are there any other news stories you guys wanted to discuss before we?
I want to talk about LawBreakers. I just gotta.
Yeah, LawBreakers. You mentioned it. I added it to the agenda and everything. Sorry.
Right now,
go ahead.
I want you to get ready for this. Anybody want to guess how many people right now are playing LawBreakers on Steam? This is a big release by a legit studio, big developer. How many people right now are playing LawBreakers on Steam?
Okay, are we doing prices bet rules?
Yeah.
Can I bet $1?
One. You'd probably be pretty close.
1.
1,000.
No. Wait, you have to.
697 people, guys. 697 people.
Holy shit!
Wow.
The peak for the 24 hours is 776. The all-time peak is 7,500. That is a flop of a gigantic proportion.
Yikes! Yeah.
So Clippy B's been doing a bunch of damage control around about it on the internet, and he's saying, well, part of it's probably my personality, and I'm out there, I'm a little too in people's faces with this, and
Sleepy, come on.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it got really good reviews across the board.
People were saying it's a very fun game.
This isn't a Battleborn situation. This is a game that was well reviewed.
Yeah, the game is good, but nobody wants to play it. I think I keep going back because in all the ads, it's like, show people how skilled you are, show people how great you are. This is a hard game for hard people. All those kind of advertising. I think people don't want that. I think there's it's kind of people are saying, I want the ease of playing Overwatch over the look how great I am in this amazing game of LawBreakers. So I feel like people say they want this hardcore shit all the time, right? I think he's been describing it as a Dark Souls shooter, which doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't, it's not Dark Souls, it's a shooter. And I think he's so stuck in his mindset of it being it's difficult for difficult sake that he refuses to learn anything. It's like watching one of, I don't want to say Clippy B is an idol, but I definitely respected him as a developer, but holy crap, nothing he seems to be saying or doing with this game gets people playing it. So yeah, as far as a flop goes, this one is really, really up there.
Dang.
I've got to be honest, I wasn't even aware of it until you mentioned it just now.
Yeah, it kind of looks like Overwatch a little bit.
Yeah, it's very Overwatch, and I think Overwatch owns this area right now, right? The team-based hero shooter right now is the people who are still playing Team Fortress are the people who are still playing Team Fortress, but Overwatch owns it, right? I mean, so I don't know. It's weird because like Merve said, it's a well-reviewed game. It looks cool. It was pretty favorably reviewed, and I don't know. I don't know what to say, but 700 people playing it at a peak in a 24-hour period when the game launched last week that's a death bell for a shooter.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you have played it, but I got in on the beta or the open beta. Yeah, and I thought I had a good time. I didn't hate it, and I thought maybe I'd check into it someday, but seeing that response makes me never want to touch it.
Yeah, and
here's the thing. I generally don't dabble in multiplayer very much. If they made a single player version of something like this, I really like the aesthetic, I like the mechanics, I'd be all over it.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe it's really hard unless you're Blizzard to if you're an unproven studio, maybe you just can't release a multiplayer game and charge $30 for it anymore.
$30. I think people see these games now and they say, I don't even want to pay $30. This is a free-to-play game, and this game will be free-to-play. Make no doubt about it. So when this game goes free-to-play, people who paid $30, I'm sure they'll get some cool skins or whatever. But I've been playing. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of a game called Dirty Bomb. Dirty Bomb is splash damage. Very, very well named. known name in the shooter genre for a long time. But they were kind of underneath this publisher, Nexon. Same people who are doing LawBreakers, right? And Nexon basically tries to wring every dollar out of a game that they can, right? Microtransaction stuff like that. So Dirty Bomb, for however they did this, I don't know, but they got rid of Nexon. And they basically re-released the game. And it's a fun, classic feeling, kind of like an enemy territory type game is how I describe it. There's lots of, going around blowing up, things in the map or building things in the map. Very fun game that I've been getting back into. But basically, their dev said this game was never going to go anywhere with Nexon. They don't advertise. They don't support the game post-launch. They're just a really bad company. So I'm wondering if some of that's going on with LawBreakers, where 2 years later they'll do what Dirty Bomb did and go on their own with it. But, I mean, it's crazy to me that a Cliffy B game right now, and I know he said a lot of bad stuff about Microsoft, and Xbox is where he made his money,
Yeah.
And the game didn't even release to Xbox. It's PlayStation 4 and PC, which is really weird to me, right? So, yeah, it's just been like a fascinating failure to kind of follow in terms of what this game probably could or should have been versus 697 people enjoying it.
I don't understand why it failed. That's what's really
interesting.
Really strange to me. Right?
I know why. I haven't heard about it. No, not many people have heard about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't follow games as much as I used to, and I still heard a lot about it. It was out there for sure. It was making the rounds. So YouTubers got some early access on it. They showed it off. Like, you'd think, given the promotional campaign it had, that it would have had more of an impact.
Well,
like, it looks fun to play too. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, I'd say even given the pedigree of Cliffy B, I would think that it would have done better than it did.
Yeah, especially in the shooter world. I mean, the shooter world, he's still very, very, well liked.
Yeah.
So it's weird to me, but yeah, I mean, 697 people don't lie. I mean, that's what I keep going back to. Is just that's a worse launch than Battleborn, like by a lot, by like way less. So
I love the way that's the benchmark now as well. It's worse than Battleborn. You can imagine these executives sitting around an office going, "Oh God, no."
No, we're the benchmark. Well,
the only reason I bring up Battleborn is because it's one quick way on the side that we can get a nice dig in on Randy, right?
Oh yeah, Randy Pitchford, friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna get sued from all corners this time.
Oh, Randy's too busy.
Randy's just doing Randy stuff. He won't notice.
Yeah, Randy's busy publishing. Gearbox is actually publishing We Happy Few.
Yeah.
Which is the game from Compulsion. The people who made Contrast. Gearbox is apparently now a AAA publisher, and they're going to charge $60 for We Happy Few, which looked to be like a $30 game. So
it was a Kickstarter, wasn't it, as well? We Happy Few.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I think We Happy Few looks like a $14.99 on a game. If I'm being honest with you, I mean that game is not. It looks neat, but I don't know. Paying full price for any indie these days is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why it's now a AAA game.
Yeah.
Quote unquotes.
Sure. Just like Duke Nukem Forever was, or.
I think more games should just go the Hellblade route. If you've got, an 8-hour single-player game, and you haven't, blown your budget on making it, you can charge $30 or $40 for it. I'm much happier to pay that than $60 for, 7 or 8 hour experience.
Yeah.
Is that game supposed to take 8 hours? Because I'm doing something terribly wrong. If that's I started playing Hellblade like a week ago,
and it said 8.5 hours.
Oh my! Oh God. Okay.
Oh, don't worry.
That's embarrassing.
Every number on how long to beat, I usually add 20 or 30% to it because I'm super slow.
Yeah.
And some games I think took me like twice as long to beat. Like BioShock Infinite, I think took me 18 hours. That's listed like a 10-hour game there.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I tend to take my time.
I just I just want to say that in 2 days, I'm very interested that in 2 days that a DLC, I guess it's Well, it's not quite DLC. I guess it's an expansion comes out for XCOM 2. War of the Chosen, and that looks kick-ass, and I'm definitely going to be playing that.
I don't know if you read this. This was kind of surprising to me, but the changes made in XCOM 2 War of the Chosen are not going to be retroactive to XCOM 2 itself.
Yeah,
it's weird to me, though. I mean, like, it's a patch, right? I mean, isn't it just... I don't know. I feel like that's...
Well, it's a full-on expansion, and it costs like, $40 or something, so...
Well, I'm just talking like the UI improvements and stuff
like that. Yeah. That's kind of weird, but the same happened to...
Have they fixed the broken engine yet?
Yeah.
No.
For the most part, like, it has still, like, bugs where things happen through walls, but that happened in the original XCOM also. But
no,
some
the original
of
XCOM is just... It's too broken to play, as far as I'm concerned.
It depends on your... Unfortunately, really, unfortunately...
Like, it depends on your experience.
Yeah,
I had a really bad experience with
hardware. It depends on your hardware, and that's shitty. But it's a really good game, I think. Except for the bugs.
I'm sure it's a really good game. I wish I could play it.
Yeah.
So I get salty every time XCOM is brought up.
That's a shame. Yeah,
I had a really buggy experience with it. So are there any other news stories we want to discuss before we call this podcast to a close?
No.
Not him.
No.
I don't want to kick more Mass Effect when it's down, so I'm fine with it.
Just to briefly mention, support for Mass Effect Andromeda has ended. It's not going to receive single-player DLC. So, looks like Mass Effect is on ice for the foreseeable future.
Which is good because I'm a Dragon Age junkie, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, so Dragon Age 4, as I assume, under development.
It is.
Hopefully it means that they're icing Mass Effect Andromeda in favor of Jade Empire. Please.
No,
It's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
It's all about
it's never going to happen
now, isn't it?
Jade Empire 2 is dead. But yeah, I think they're just going to go whole hog in on Anthem now and hope that works out for them. So we'll see what BioWare has got up their sleeve. Well, I think that's all we had to talk about today. So for those of you who are interested in keeping up to date with the podcast, we have a website, avocadogamescast.wordpress.com. And there we post each episode, and we post a link dump so you guys can follow along with the stuff we're talking about. If you want to subscribe to us, we're on iTunes or Google Play Music. Just search for us for Avocado. Just search for Avocado Gamescast, and you'll find us, no problem. There aren't many other podcasts about avocados out there, so pretty easy to find us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how much you could talk.
And don't forget those great razors from the Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah, Dollar Shave Club has not sponsored us or in any capacity. We just
what are you
love
talking
them.
about?
I'll just get a mysterious check in the mail 5 weeks from now from Dollar Shave Club.
Wait, I've been saying all of this shit about Dollar Shave Club and they're not sponsoring us? What the fuck?
If you wrote them an email and said, yeah, you guys sponsor my podcast, they probably wouldn't know if they do or they don't. They'd probably still give you the check.
Sweet.
Sure, sounds good.
$5 from Dollar Shave Club. We're finally turning the Gamescast into a money-making venture.
Microtransactions.
Yeah.
You want science to say, shit, then pay $5 on this account. PayPal.
Yeah, we'll just put a link to Science's PayPal,
exactly.
and then
I can say
Dollar Shave Club and Casper can just PayPal him cash.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So, thanks for being on this podcast, and thanks for listening, listeners.
Oh yeah.
Thanks,
later.
Bye-bye.
All right, see you later, everyone.
See you later.